France were never supposed to win this game. It was the semi-final of the Rugby World Cup. The All Blacks had Jonah Lomu in his terrifying prime and were 17-10 up at half-time. When Lomu bulldozed through half the French team to score early in the second half, it looked over. France were done, finished, buried. But what happened next was chaos of the most beautiful kind. Led by fly half Christophe Lamaison, France launched an aerial assault. Drop goals, penalties, offloads from hell. They scored 33 points in 25 minutes. New Zealand looked stunned, shell-shocked. Lamaison was kicking from everywhere. Tries came from nowhere. The All Blacks tried to mount a late rally, but it was too little, too late. Final score, 43-31. One of the greatest meltdowns in New Zealand's history, and one of the gutsiest, most spectacular comebacks the World Cup has ever seen. The French didn't just win, they turned the game into a mad masterpiece. England were at home. They came out like a thunderstorm, firing on all cylinders. Within 30 minutes, they were up 31-0. Game over. Right, wrong. Scotland, to their credit, never panicked. Led by Finn Russell, they played fearless, attacking rugby. They scored just before half-time to make it 31-7, but no one expected what came next. In the second half, Scotland went wild, try after try, offloads, line breaks. Finn Russell turned into a magician. With 5 minutes to go, they were somehow leading 38-31. Twickenham was stunned. England were choking on their own lead. In the final moments, England salvaged a try to level the score at 38-38, and that's where it ended. But it was Scotland's comeback that stole the show. It wasn't just the biggest comeback in Six Nations history, it was a statement that no matter how far behind you are, if you keep playing, keep believing, anything is possible. It wasn't even a test match, but it became one of the most iconic games in rugby history. The Barbarians, a scratch team made of elite international players, were facing the mighty All Blacks at Cardiff Arms Park. New Zealand were the most feared side in the world, and most fans expected a brutal, grinding win. Instead, they got poetry. The game started explosively. In the 4th minute, Gareth Edwards scored what is still considered the greatest try of all time, beginning behind his own goal line, involving 6 players and ending with Edwards diving over. But even after that moment of magic, the All Blacks clawed their way back, grinding through the Barbarians' flashy plays and taking the lead 19-17 by the second half. Then came the fight back. With slick offloads and fearless running, the Barbarians scored 2 more tries in the final quarter to seal a stunning 23-11 comeback win. The victory wasn't just about the scoreboard, it was about defying the idea that flair couldn't beat power. It was a win for the soul of rugby. No one, literally no one, expected Japan to even compete with South Africa in the opening weekend of the 2015 Rugby World Cup. The Springboks were 2-time world champions. Japan hadn't won a World Cup match in 24 years. Bookmakers gave Japan 1,000-1 odds to win the tournament. South Africa took an early lead, dominating the set piece and smashing through tackles. By the second half, they were up 29-22, and most assumed Japan would fade. But the Brave Blossoms had other plans. Led by Captain Michael Leach and coached by Eddie Jones, Japan clawed their way back with fearless offloads, endless pace, and laser-focused precision. With minutes left, they had a chance to tie with a penalty, but instead they went for the win. In the dying seconds, Japan turned down the kick. They launched a final assault on South Africa's try line, and then it happened. Kana Hesketh dove into the corner, and the stadium erupted. Japan 34, South Africa 32. The greatest World Cup upset in history. Not just a comeback, but a cultural earthquake that changed rugby forever. Wales hadn't won a Grand Slam in 27 years. Their fans had lived through decades of heartbreak, false dawns and broken promise. But in 2005, something clicked, and it all started with a comeback against their oldest enemy. England were the defending world champions, filled with tough veterans and nasty intent. Playing at Cardiff's Millennium Stadium, they battered Wales in the first half, missed tackles, dropped balls. Wales looked overwhelmed, trailing 9-3 at the break, but the second half was electric. Gavin Henson, the man with spiky hair and steel nerves, stepped up. He booted an outrageous penalty from near halfway to put Wales ahead. Then, with minutes left, Wales defended like demons. Every tackle was a last stand. Final score, 11-9. It wasn't a blowout, but it felt biblical. That win lit the fire. Wales went on to win the Grand Slam, rewriting their legacy in real time. It was a comeback that launched a golden era. South Africa were heavy favourites. Fiji were the unpredictable wildcard. No one expected them to give the Springboks a real scare in the 2007 quarter-final. But what unfolded was a near miracle that sent shockwaves through the tournament. The Boks raced to a 20-6 lead, looking like they were cruising. Then, out of nowhere, Fiji exploded. In the space of 10 minutes, they scored 2 tries, one of which involved 7 offloads and 80 meters of chaos. Suddenly, the score was tied 20-20. The Springboks were rattled. The world was stunned. With the crowd losing its mind, Fiji nearly scored again. But a last-ditch tackle by Butch James saved the day. In the final 15 minutes, South Africa dug deep. They scored 2 tries and eventually pulled away to win 37-20, but the comeback scare was real. Fiji may have lost on paper, but their comeback made rugby history. For 10 minutes, the mighty Springboks were on the ropes, and everyone watching knew they had witnessed something unforgettable. It was the opening weekend of the 2018 Six Nations. Ireland were in Paris, cold, frustrated, and trailing 13-12 with only a minute left. France had just scored a try and looked set to steal the win. Ireland needed something impossible. Enter Johnny Sexton. Ireland began a final push from deep inside their own half. What followed was 41 phases of rugby. No breaks, no fumbles, just relentless possession and raw determination. The clock had gone red. Every ruck was a gamble. One mistake, and it was over. Sexton marshalled his troops across the field inch by inch. Then, from 45 meters out, in the pouring rain, with no time left, he dropped back and struck a perfect drop goal. It sailed through. Ireland 15, France 13. The crowd went silent, then erupted. It was one of the most nerve-wracking, precise comebacks in modern rugby, and it set the tone for a Grand Slam winning campaign. In July 2021, France looked set to win a rare test series on Australian soil. They led 28-26 with just 2 minutes left on the clock in the second test. Australia had been clunky all night. Dropped balls, missed tackles, sloppy handling. France were clinical, smart, and almost over the line. But in those final moments, the Wallabies found their spark. First came the pressure. A high kick forced a French fumble. Then came the possession. Phase after phase, Australia crawled upfield, and with time expired, Noah Lolesio, just 21 years old, stepped up and slotted the winning penalty from 40 metres out. Final score, Australia 33, France 30. The Wallabies came back from 15 points down and snatched the game from the jaws of defeat, securing the series and shocking a composed French squad in the process. Fiji were supposed to breeze past Georgia in their pool stage clash at the 2023 World Cup. Instead, for the first 50 minutes, they looked out of sync, frustrated and overwhelmed. Georgia led 9-0 at the break and continued to dominate the breakdown and kicking game. It was tense. The rugby world held its breath. Was Fiji about to crash out? Then the switch flipped. Joshua Tuisova, Fiji's powerhouse, burst through 2 tackles and offloaded to Waisea Nyakalevu for their first try. From there, the rhythm returned. The offloads got sharper. The defense tightened. 2 more tries came in rapid succession. Final score, Fiji 17, Georgia 12. It wasn't just a comeback, it was survival. Fiji stayed on track for a historic quarter-final appearance and proved they could win even when the flair fails early. And in the domestic leagues, Munster weren't supposed to win. Not away in Cape Town, not against the defending champions, the Stormers. But from the opening whistle, Munster refused to fold. Down 14-7 in the second half, Munster absorbed relentless pressure. Then Jack Crowley, ice in his veins, began orchestrating a comeback. A converted try brought them level, and with less than 5 minutes to go, Crowley nailed a long-range drop goal to put Munster ahead. Stormers surged one last time but couldn't crack the red wall. Final score, Munster 19, Stormers 14. It was one of the gutsiest away wins in club final history, and a stunning turnaround from a side that barely scraped into the playoffs. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.